They told you Atlantis was a myth, a fable, lost to the sea. But what if Atlantis was more than a legend? What if it was the blueprint of humanity's forgotten potential? An ancient civilization, far more advanced than we imagine, that mastered the forces of energy, consciousness, and cosmic law, and then vanished. Today we explore what no one told you about Atlantis, not just the story of its fall, but the deeper truth of its wisdom, its power, and its return. According to Plato, writing in the 4th century BCE, Atlantis was a vast island nation that existed 9,000 years before his time, a place of dazzling architecture, advanced agriculture, and celestial knowledge. He described it as a great naval power located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. But Plato wasn't the source. He was quoting the Egyptian priests of Sais, who preserved oral records reaching deep into prehistory. Other ancient cultures speak of similar worlds: the Hindus of Lemuria or Kumari Kandam, the Mayans of Xibalba, the Hopi of the Third World, and Tibetan scrolls that whisper of Shambhala lost in the mists of time. What do they all describe? A race of beings who lived in harmony with the earth and the cosmos, beings who understood the law of energy, vibration, and form, beings who remembered who they were. Atlantis wasn't advanced in the way we think of today. They didn't have metal towers or mechanical engines. They had something far more powerful: the mastery of frequency. Atlanteans worked with what Hermeticism would later call the three universal energies: sound, light, thought. They understood that thought itself was a creative force, that every frequency could either build or destroy. Crystals were used as transmitters of energy. Sacred geometry encoded vibrational harmonics into architecture. Temples were built not just to honor gods, but to channel cosmic resonance. And most importantly, they worked with the human energy field, what we now call the aura, or biofield. Through breath, intention, and ritual, they could heal, align, and activate. At the core of Atlantean civilization was one universal truth: as above, so below; as within, so without. They believed the universe was a fractal mirror, that the structure of galaxies was echoed in atoms, and that the energy of the cosmos flowed through the human body. This principle governed every aspect of their lives. The chakras aligned with planetary spheres. The body was treated as a living temple, and consciousness was seen not as a side effect of biology, but as a bridge between dimensions. To them, the spiritual and material were one. They didn't worship gods as external beings. They saw divinity as a force within all life. But no golden age lasts forever. As generations passed, a fracture began to form in Atlantean society. Two paths emerged: the children of the law of one, those who lived in harmony with natural law, practicing unity, balance, and service; the sons of Belial, those who sought domination, control, and manipulation of energy for power. The children of light preserved spiritual science. The sons of Belial twisted it, creating genetic experiments, abusing crystal tech, and disrupting planetary grids. Atlantean records speak of immense energy crystals, called posers, that stored and amplified atmospheric energy. But as they were overcharged, the Earth's magnetic field destabilized. What came next was not divine punishment, but the result of spiritual dissonance on a planetary scale: volcanic eruptions, massive floods, storms beyond imagination. The energy grid that sustained the civilization began to collapse. Crystals shattered, temples crumbled, the sea rose. In a single night and a day, Atlantis, once the jewel of the world, was swallowed by water. But not all was lost. Initiates, sages, and star-born architects fled, carrying sacred knowledge across the world. to Egypt, to the Andes, to the Indus, to Mesoamerica, and in their wake came pyramids, mandalas, ziggurats, and star-aligned temples. These were not cultural accidents. They were echoes, Atlantean fingerprints etched in stone. Much of what survives today in esoteric traditions traces back to this Atlantean inheritance. The Emerald Tablet of Hermes, said to be written by Thoth, the Atlantean priest-king, speaks directly of alchemy, unity, and universal correspondence. The Hermetic principles, including mentalism, rhythm, cause, and effect, are reflections of Atlantean philosophy. And the Great Pyramid, still a mystery to engineers, was not a tomb, but a resonant initiatory chamber, aligned to the stars and tuned to the Earth's frequency. The initiates knew matter is spirit crystallized, and the body is the altar of the soul. Their temples were maps, their rituals, formulas, and their purpose, to awaken the divine spark in every human being. Atlantis is not just a past civilization, it is a state of consciousness. And that consciousness is rising again, through you. Every time you meditate, and every time you heal an inner wound, every time you align your thought with purpose, you are tapping into the very energy the Atlanteans once embodied. The fall of Atlantis wasn't the end. It was a cycle, a descent, to forget. And now we are rising, to remember. You don't need crystals or pyramids to access Atlantean wisdom. You need alignment. Start with your breath, your life force. Speak words that carry frequency. Move with intention. Create beauty. Pursue truth. And most importantly, understand that your inner world is the seed of your reality. Change within, and the outer world must reflect it. Just as the ancients taught, the temple is within. The altar is your heart, and the divine is not above you. It is you. What no one told you is that Atlantis is not just something we lost. It's something we're becoming again. Not by recreating the past, but by embodying its essence in a new form. The wisdom, the harmony, the power of consciousness. It lives in you now, waiting to be remembered, rekindled, and reawakened. Because Atlantis doesn't return through technology. It returns through you. So when you hear Atlantis, don't think of a sunken city. Think of a higher self, a deeper truth, and the divine blueprint sleeping in your soul. Atlantis was never lost. It was simply hidden until we were ready to find it again. And now, we are. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you are interested in more content like this.